It's just a real traumatic experience. Very unexpected. You just never think, at 16 years old, uh, just never had any idea that that was going to be her time here. I'm happy that God did give me the 16 years that He had with her. I had with her. It was definitely a 16-year ride. From birth, Janice hit the ground running. She was always a little songbird, and she was going to be some type of entertainer or singer. She had a beautiful spirit always. She loved so many people, and so many people loved her. She would give you the clothes off of her back. She was just the sweetest person you ever wanted to meet. And she was always like that. She just had a passion for people, and especially, I just think back on some of the stories and the things that she, did, and she didn't really, bullying, oh my goodness, that was a passion of hers. She did not believe in bullying at all. If she seen someone getting bullied, she made it her right to step in the middle of that. And I would be like, Jen, you got to be careful. Like, I would be so worried about her sometimes because she would come home and tell me a story. And I'm like, okay, Janice, there's teachers. Like, you need to go tell somebody. Just don't get in it. But that was her. She had to stand up for the person who couldn't stand up for themselves. She was always like that. And just a beautiful spirit. She always was. She definitely kept me on my toes. She definitely did that. She was that kid that was going to push the mark. She wasn't going to settle for just, the average teenager. She was going to push the mark, and she was going to go after whatever dream she had. She kept asking me to give her money so she could go on The Voice. That was one of her things she wanted to do. Absolutely thought one day she was going to marry Luke Bryant. She was a huge Luke Bryant fan. I know more country songs than I ever thought I would know, because that's mostly throughout my house. She played country music all the time. I find myself in the store and when I'm playing and I'm in there singing and I'm like, how do I even know this song? But she loved country music. She was a country girl at heart, really was. If she could get a truck, that's what she kept saying. I want my first car to be a truck. I want you to buy me like an old pickup truck. And I'm like, why? She's like, because I just want to wear a cowboy hat and drive an old pickup truck. That's just like the type of person that she was. She was really a country girl at heart. Definitely that. She just loved her friends. She loved her job. She loved everything that she did. She really did. She definitely loved singing. She loved her choir. She attended Benson High School, but she had a passion and love for her friends at Burke too, because she attended Burke for 2 years also. And she was just a loving person.
What was it about her music? Did she feel free, or what did she say? What did music do for her? What was she so passionate about it?
Music, it was her life. It was part of her life. I mean, she woke up singing, went to bed singing. She sang in the shower. I was just talking to the people at her job. She came home and told me a story. In between calls, they still could hear what you were doing, and she would be singing in between calls. So when they go back to review her calls, she said her boss told her, you sound awesome, Janice, but you got to stop singing in between calls, because, they were listening to her call, and then as soon as the call hung up, they would hear her singing until the next call came along. But that's just kind of who she was. She loved to sing. In church she sang, and then she sang on a national level in the Baptist convention, and thousands of kids would come from everywhere, and Janice would always have a solo. Some kind of way, out of those thousands of kids, she would get picked out that crowd in many of states to sing a solo. I mean, her voice just, was amazing, And one of the videos that they showed from the convention, somebody said, who is that girl singing like her? And she was young, and they was like, she has a beautiful voice. And I think singing was, if you listen, even the songs that I listened to after this, it seemed like she was just preparing us through her songs. If you listen to her songs, it was touching me, because the words she sang, it just sounded like she was trying to prepare us for this day. It just,
In what way?
It's just some of the songs that, the lyrics, the one that really touched me when she sang down, like I think it's the opening day of the College World Series, her and one of her schoolmates sang a song, and she said, I'm gonna miss my mother. In the song, she was singing it, and she was saying all the people she would miss. And it wasn't that you would miss me, she was saying who she would miss. And I've replayed that song a million times. It's like, wow. And I just listened to some of the lyrics in her song. It was about her leaving, you know. I mean, it gives you some comfort, you know, just to know that I'll always be able to hear her voice, you know, because she had it seemed like hundreds of videos. Some that I never saw, I got to see people were posting, and I know one day I just went on YouTube before all this happened, and I was like, Janice, I didn't even know you had all these videos on YouTube. And she's like, yeah, and I'm like, I'll just Google my daughter's name, and then all these videos through YouTube, and all these videos came up of her singing. And I was like, wow, you know, as a mother, I've heard her sing all my life, but sometimes when I go back and listen, it's like, wow, you know. But it wasn't a day that you didn't hear a song from her.
So how are you doing? How is the family doing? Friends and family?
It's, you know, we hang on to our faith, that we know that Janice is with God. She's with the Lord, because she was very into church. She would not miss a day of church. If she had to walk, she would make sure she was there. Even if she had to work, she would leave work from church, leave church and go to work, you know. But she never missed church, and she loved the Lord, and I know that, you know, there's no other place she can be other than with him. You know, my other two children, it's gonna be a long road. You know, this was a tragedy. I had my 20-year-old daughter, she's a junior at college. She just was home she hadn't been here a week. She was home for the summer. You know, and that was one of the reasons that they were headed to Walmart, because she wanted a movie, and my daughter said, I don't get to see her that often, so just because I really didn't want to go to Walmart, but she just, you know, I don't see her enough to tell her no, you know, so, and my 4-year-old, you know, he's still asking me to call her, you know. He talked to her and my daughter away at college every day. If they wouldn't, he would call them on the phone. Where you at? You know, they'd be at work or whatever, and he'd call her, and he keeps, you know, asking me to call her, you know. It's gonna be hard for him not to, you know, be able to talk to his sister every day. They were really close. You know, my children are all close. Everybody was really close. And it's just, you know, it's a traumatic experience for our whole family.
It's hard to understand and accept the actions of the driver hitting somebody before, speeding off with the lights turned off, and hitting your children, and then vanishing.
The part that I know where Janice is makes it a little easier for me. There was some events that happened that night that, you know, I'm going to make sure that we talk to the right people to make sure no other family has to go through what we went through. I actually spoke with the man that night, and he offered me no compassion. He didn't even say he was sorry. That was hard. I think I looked for that, you know, just if he could have just said, I'm sorry. But he had no compassion that night, none whatsoever. And that was hard. And the fact that, you know, they brought us all to the same hospital. So I wasn't allowed to see my children solely because he was in there. So I had a 4-year-old behind the door screaming that I couldn't see because the person who caused the accident was in the same room with them. That no family, no mother should ever have to endure that, to hear your child screaming on another side of the door, and the only reason they wouldn't let me in, I was in actually with both of my kids, and they made me leave because they brought him in and they put them all in the same room. That's unthinkable to me. I will never, that's a part of that night I had to see his face over and over again, and he offered me no compassion. I told him what he did, and he yelled some words at me, and that's hard, because I just thought he would say, I'm sorry, you know, because Janice, I know where she is. I can hold on to that, and that gives me the strength that I need. But for a person to cause all the pain that he caused us, and then for us to be forced to look at him for hours, it was, you know, I do appreciate there was a lot of people on the scene that night. They are heroes to me. Now when I see when people say that, I understand. I didn't know. I can remember a lot of faces. I didn't know any of the people that helped me, but they were beyond compassion and helpful. There was, another woman held my son until I held his, because my children were pent in the vehicle. They had to be cut out. And it's a miracle that anybody survived the accident. But, there was another mother out there holding my son's head up, until I got there and was able to do that. It's just, people are just amazing. And that's another thing that helps you, get through something like this.
Do you know if Janice was wearing her seatbelt?
I believe all three of them were wearing their seatbelt. Yeah.
She just was hit in the right.
I don't know. But if you want me to give you the real answer, God was ready for her, and she definitely was ready to meet him. And regardless of, I don't think there could have been anything that would have changed that moment. It's tragic as it is. I believe her life had a purpose, and it was 16 years that she graced our presence. And in that 16-year time, she touched a lot of people. Some people don't do that in a lifetime, So you have to hold that, but, I definitely believe that justice needs to be served, definitely. I have 2 children that may never recover. We have a long road ahead of us. Physically, yeah, but mentally you just never know, what kind of impact this will have. I couldn't imagine, my daughter driving the vehicle. You gotta, she blamed herself a lot, and she didn't do anything wrong, and it was hard to get her to understand that. You couldn't have changed anything, yeah. Mm-hmm. You were being a loving sister. She wanted to get the movie, you took her to get the movie. They went to Taco Bell, before. That's what Janice wanted to do. And I said, Janice, we have food at home. Nope. She wanted to go to Taco Bell, and she wanted to see this movie. That's Janice. That was her.
Well, I moved here when I was in 4th grade, and in 5th grade, me and Janice met. So she's been my friend ever since then, and she's always been so happy and so sympathetic and always caring for people. So for someone who doesn't care that much to take her life and not even apologize, I just feel that's disrespectful, and it's not okay at all. I don't understand how you can just live with yourself when he's taking another person's life and not even apologizing for it, and it's hurting so many other people. Yeah, Janice is in a better place now, but our hearts are still hurting. It doesn't change that, and he can't even apologize for it.
And you're at that age where people are starting to drive and whatnot, I guess this also serves as just a seriousness behind the wheel.
Yeah, a lot of people think that they're better drunk drivers my age, and they're not. It's not something to joke about. It's not something you should be doing and driving and getting behind the wheel, because you're putting at risk your life and the other people's lives, and it's not a joke, and everyone wants to make it a joke, and it's not.
What will you always remember from your best friend, and how will you, I guess, live out kind of what she taught you?
I'll just live every day like it's my last, because that's what she did, and she didn't really know when her last day was going to be, but she always lived like that. Mm-hmm. And there was no regrets with her. She just did what she wanted to do, and if it was wrong. She apologized if it wasn't. She was like, I had fun, and that's all that really mattered to her, is like being happy, having fun, and making sure everyone else was okay. So I guess that's like kind of what I need to start living by, because that's what I need to do.
So much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
guys.
I appreciate you guys.
What's the title of the song you said